With me is the legendary Curtis Sliwa. Curtis, welcome again.
Well,
Good
not
to
only
have you here.
that, but this is the first interview I'm doing with my blue Curtis Forme jacket. First time ever.
So, what brings you here? What's going on? Uh,
Well, Queens is extraordinarily important to the Queens movement. It's a unity rally. You see in South Queens, in the Rockaways, Broad Channel, Howard Beach, Ozone Park, strength. Then in the middle of the borough, you have Middle Village, Maspeth, and Glendale, strong. And then naturally go to the northern part, Whitestone, College Point, and growing numbers in Flushing, the Chinese and Korean community. So now we're spreading our wings into areas that before the only Republican they ever saw was Abraham Lincoln on a $5 bill. They've never seen Republicans before. And now we're developing the candidates, we're hitting the neighborhoods, and we're spreading the message of the GOP, which is self-help. Don't depend on government. In just coming here today in St. Albans, I must have stopped 5, 10 times and looked at places where garbage was dumped right opposite homes, $1.5 million. Single family, 2-family homes. And I know these are Caribbean, West Indian, blacks, these are African Americans. They've invested everything in their house. And the city allows the side streets, the primary streets, to become a dump. And I told them, don't wait for the city. The moment they dump it, you call me, we'll clean it up. Because if you don't do it, it ain't going to get done.
Now, a lot of people are beginning to see the damage that's been done to the city. A lot of people are seeing the damage that's been done to the country as well in the last 40 years, maybe. One of the things that's changing since 40 years is the Chevron doctrine, and it has an effect of a smaller government, and that is the core value of the Republican system as well. So, how are people taking that?
Well, remember, it's like getting a drug addict off of drugs. They're so used to getting everything from government, from the cradle to the grave. And look at what they're doing with the migrants coming in. The day they come in, they're not telling them, hey, you got to clean up the streets, you got to volunteer. No, we'll do your laundry, we'll make your bed, you don't have to do anything. That's crazy. So the Chevron doctrine, which I call good old-fashioned self-help. You got a problem, do it. Don't depend on government. I don't trust any politicians, even politicians in my own party. I trust people. And I know people, when they have investments, they're business people, their homes, they send their children to school, they make sure their kids study afterwards, they hire tutors. They don't just depend on the public school system. That's how you make a difference. If you depend on government alone, you're going to be like everybody else, part of a social service network from the cradle to the grave. And that destroys initiative, that destroys patriotism, that destroys pride in being an American.
Now, with a smaller government, does that mean there might be less spending and there might be more money being pumped back into the local municipalities, the cities and states? Maybe the streets might get better?
Remember, government is about contracts. You say contract, I say who's getting the kickbacks. I started the Guardian Angels 46 years ago, volunteer. I run volunteer groups to clean up the streets, volunteer. Now, we can't do what the police do, we can't do what the sanitation department does, but we can fill in the void. The more volunteers you can get, the better a society is, because you feel good when you're a volunteer. You feel like you made a difference. If you depend on government alone, there'll be no bid contracts. All the money goes to their cronies. It keeps that party in power. And then you wonder, why is the system so corrupt? That's why it's corrupt. So limit the amount of government. Keep it based on the necessities. We know the elderly people in the last 2 years of your life, my life, will probably end up costing government more money than at any point in our life. We want elderly people to feel good in their last years. We want to take care of them because they've earned it. Other than that, everybody else should be able to do more for themselves.
Now, a lot of people are thinking that this might be the end of a 40-year cycle that started in '84 and all kinds of things since we got off the gold standard. There's thoughts, pundits, and analysts. What do you think about that? Are they correct? Are they wrong?
I think of one thing. Both parties are guilty. By 1934, boy, I'm dating myself to depression, but it might be that. because by 2034, we will have a $50 trillion debt. $50 trillion. That means half the money that we raise from the taxpayers is going to be paying the interest of the debt to mainland China, Saudi Arabia, UK. That's crazy. Both parties. They're not limiting themselves. They just spend, spend, spend. What you don't spend, you borrow. So pretty soon, we're not going to have money for the military to keep us strong. Health care, as we are aging, we're getting older and older. I may live to be 100, whereas my parents lived to be in their 90s, their parents lived to be in their 70s. That's going to cost more money. We're not going to have the money to do it. And America is on the verge, if we don't control this growing $50 trillion debt by 2034, to becoming a third world country. I know people will listen to that and say, come on, you can't really. Well, think about it. If you don't pay your loans off, they take your house, they take your car. You're out in the street. These other countries, you think they're going to want to save America? They're going to say, no, you owe money, pay money, don't be a welcher.
A lot of people didn't expect what happened in 2020 to happen, and it happened. And that's like the worst case scenario. You know, the whole world suddenly just shutting down for a long time. Some places were shut down for 18 months. Australia was 2 years.
That to me is fear, fright, hysteria, and hype. There was so much fear and so much fright. And I get it. I remember in the beginning, people would go into the hospital and they wouldn't come out, so people were terrified. But you can't let fear consume yourself and shut everything down. Life must continue. And those who are physically fit, the younger people, the middle-aged people, they got to care for the elderly and the very young. That is our responsibility. Now, I would be considered old now at 70. I don't want a young huckleberry taking care of me, but I know that day is going to come. And we have got to prepare for that. When we have these pandemics, and there are going to be more, all of a sudden, we can't just lock down. That was the worst thing we could do. And the ones who suffered the most, the children. I have 3 sons, Anthony, Carter, Hunter. All of them lost about a year of their education that they're never going to get back. That's going to hurt them now and in the future. We can't do that to our children.
So what are some of the ways people can get involved and make sure this never happens again?
Well, the main thing is you have to sort of get proactive. Too many people think, oh, if I don't deal with the big picture, it's not worth correcting the picture at all. You got to start small, in the neighborhood. Look at community problems. You got to organize people, and you got to reach out. The one thing I tell the GOP, because it's become like Bloods and Crips. Bloods, red, MAGA, blue, right, Democrats. Now, I'm wearing blue today because without moderate Democrats, Republicans in our area cannot win. Trump's going to win. There's no doubt about it. But if people don't go in and vote for Trump and then vote right down the line, because I've been at the polls before, 2016, 2020, people wait 4, 5, 6 hours. They love Trump. They go inside. They vote for Trump. They leave. I said, what'd you leave for? You got like 12 other candidates. I don't know them. I said, well, you think the Democrats know them? They come in there and they're disciplined. Boom. Now, if you like a Democrat, vote for a Democrat. I'm not saying you can only vote for your party, but don't just walk in because there's such a strong attraction at Trump that you think in electing Trump, he's not a god. He can't do this without the help of everyone else, city council, state legislature, county legislatures, in the House of Representatives, in the United States Senate. And people, he has to also start saying that. He's finally come on board with early voting, mail-in voting. Remember before Trump, no, go on election day. That's how you lost. Take advantage of what's existing, and most importantly, teach Republicans. If anything, I would teach them vote from the bottom up. So it forces you to vote from the lowest elected position to the President of the United States.
Now, you're also running for mayor. Is that open yet, or is that still?
Yeah, well, look, I already have, as you can see, people call me the people's mayor, and I am, because I'm in the streets. Eric Adams and everybody else who now has an interest to run, they're in the suites. They're getting wine, dined, and pocket line. I'm with the peeps in the streets.
I think the event is starting, so I guess we'll catch up soon. Curtis, thank you very much. Curtis Sliwa, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.